Hey, got the chance to see the movie The Adventures of Tintin tonight. Thought I'd share some thoughts with you. The Adventures of Tintin is one of two different Steven Spielberg directed movies that are out in theaters right now. The other one is Warhorse. It is a lifelong kind of passion project for him. It was based upon a legendary comic book series by a Belgian artist named Hergé, which were first published in, I believe, the 1930s. And Steven Spielberg first became uh, aware of this series back when he made Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he was reading some newspaper reviews from France that were constantly referring to this character named Tintin, and he had no idea who Tintin was. So his assistant ran out and picked up some French language copies of Tintin adventures, and he started reading through them, even though he found an innate connection with the character, even though, since he couldn't speak any French, he had no idea what the dialogue was. And ever since then, he's been trying to get a Tintin film off the ground, and he even received the blessing of Hergé himself shortly before he died in the mid-1980s. And now it's taken until 2011 for him to finally release a movie based upon Tintin. I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually caused by the comics craze, because Tintin was probably one of the most influential comic book characters to have ever been created. But another key in the creation of this new Tintin film is the uh, influence of Peter Jackson. Jackson is, of course, the man who wrote and directed the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He's currently working on The Hobbit, and has also made films like the remake of King Kong, which I loved, and The Lovely Bones, which people didn't seem to like too much, but oh well. The story goes that Spielberg was finally gearing up to make this Tintin movie, and decided to call Peter Jackson because he wanted Peter Jackson's visual effects company to work on CGI Snowy. He was planning on making the movie live action at the time, which he had previously tried in the 80s, but never came to fruition. Well, anyway, Peter Jackson told him that Peter Jackson himself was also a major Tintin fan from childhood, and said that he didn't think that you could properly pay true tribute to the spirit of Tintin with live action, and suggested instead to use the motion capture or performance capture, as it's now known technology that he had developed for use on the character of Gollum in the Lord of the Rings movies, and later used for King Kong, which he was currently working on at the time. They ran some tests, and eventually Spielberg decided that motion capture was the way to go, and here we are. Well, well, the character of Tintin is played by Jamie Bell. He was the lead in the drama Billy Elliot from a few years back, and has also appeared in movies like uh, King Kong, Jumper, and the recent adaptation of Jane Eyre. And also in the movie are Andy Serkis, who was so good as Gollum in Lord of the Rings movies, King Kong in that remake, and Caesar in the recent Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He plays Captain Haddock, one of Tintin's friends who showed up for the first time in the stories this movie is based on. And we have uh, Daniel Craig, best known as our current James Bond, playing the villain Sakharine, and also the hilarious Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. They play the two bumbling detectives named Thompson and Thompson, who are constantly trying to help Tintin, but can never exactly do anything useful. They provide some really welcome comic relief in this movie. Now, that's not to say the movie is serious. I mean, this movie has basically ambitions to be the sort of Saturday morning serial, rollicking adventure type of thing that the comics were usually doing. If you're looking for something profound and deep, this isn't the movie to go to. But if you just want some quick, fun, exciting, dazzling visuals, this is a great movie for that. I mean, the environments that Spielberg and Jackson create here, Jackson's credited as second unit director, which I found kind of funny, and the CGI environments, the character designs, this is really the type of movie that would that I think Hergé would be very pleased with. The the story itself follows Tintin, who is a boy reporter, just who buys a model ship at a flea market, and his they discover that lots of people are after this model, and he tries to figure out why. And this eventually leads him to a Armenian ship called the Caribou Jaune, where he meets Captain Haddock, who has been held prisoner aboard his own ship, and eventually they travel around the world trying to find out what the secret of this ship, known as the Unicorn, is, and how it ties in with the ancestry and life of the family of Captain Haddock. Now, this for the Tintin fans out there who are watching this, this movie draws inspiration from the editions of The Crab with the Golden Claws and The Secret of the Unicorn and Red Rackham's Treasure, those three editions, but it really doesn't follow any of their stories beginning to end. It kind of immerses appropriate elements from each story into an original narrative, which I think works really well. I expected it to actually be less faithful to the stories, but what it is really faithful in terms of the comics is to the spirit and characters of Hergé, which, truth be told, is both a good thing and a bad thing for the movie. I mean, the character of Tintin in particular, he's basically designed to be a blank slate, person for the audience to project their own feelings onto. This was deliberate in the original comics. In fact, the name Tintin is a Flemish pun. It means nothing. That's literally what it means in Flemish. And so, as a result, the character of Tintin doesn't really have a lot of personality. Although Jamie Bell does a really good job of injecting some into the character, kind of plucky, smart, knowledgeable adventurer. The real heart of this movie is the performance of Andy Serkis as Captain Haddock. Although he doesn't have quite as much development as one might expect given the importance of his family in the story, but really, it's a very good performance. Another great motion capture performance from Andy Serkis. If this guy doesn't get some sort of recognition for his contribution to acting from the Oscars or anywhere else, there's really going to be a crime. But on the other hand, this is the use of performance capture really might kind of be the reason why he hasn't gotten the thing, because one of the things I like about performance capture, even though it kind of obscures the actual faces of the actors, is that it focuses less on the actor, more on the character. I mean, you can see, like when I rewatched Rise of the Planet of the Apes the other day, I mean, I tried to focus on the Andy Serkis performance in that movie. He plays the ape Caesar, for instance, but I couldn't think of Andy Serkis. I only saw Caesar, and just like in this movie, I tried to picture the performances of Jamie Bell, Andy Serkis, Daniel Craig, but I could only see the characters of Tintin, Haddock, the Thompsons, and Sakharine. And this is really good. This is really good for the characters, but the actors almost disappear a little bit. But the fact that you can only focus on the characters really does say a lot for the talent of the actors, that they don't allow their own personalities to overshadow the material. And that's one of the really good things about this movie's take on the Tintin character. You never get the idea that they're trying to improve it. I mean, this is simply a movie based on Tintin, a modern technology CGI performance capture take on the Tintin character, with no real elements of subversion or dark things that most comic book movies these days try to inject in some attempt to make it modern or something like that. There's no sense of that here. It's basically a whole bunch of fans of the character teaming up to have a whole lot of fun making a movie designed to be nothing but a whole lot of fun. So, if you like Tintin, or if you just like adventure, high-tech action movies, You should really like this movie. It's fun, it's funny, there's lots of great humor, old-fashioned humor, slapstick sort of stuff. I found it really amusing. There's some magnificent action sequences, like there's a airplane ride through a storm cloud. There's a spectacular chase through the city of Bagar in Morocco that for several minutes is shot in what appears to be a single camera movement, literally going through an entire city as buildings collapse, motorcycles fly, jump over ledges, birds fly around. It's really spectacular. And the fact that it's only shot in one take seems to be the reason why you're able to comprehend it so well, which is another real strength of Spielberg's direction here. But yeah, if you like action movies, if you like Tintin, if you really like the just sort of escapist entertainment, this is the movie for you.